All right, we are live. Awesome. All right, what's going on, YouTube? Brian Cole here, and a little bit different video today. Actually, I'm very excited to be presenting this to you guys. I know I've been mentioning at the end of all of my videos that I've been working on some side projects, and one of those side projects is a course that I am working on I have here Harry Campbell, better known as the Rideshare Guy. He is very knowledgeable on this industry. A lot of you probably have seen him on his blog, and you have also probably have seen him on several different media outlets where he has been featured. So it's definitely a very honor and privilege for me to be working with him and also have him on this video interview today. So without any further ado, Harry, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell my audience a few things about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, first of all, awesome intro. Thank you, Brian, making me sound good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Harry, and I run a blog and podcast for drivers over at therideshareguy.com. And basically, a little bit about me. I work full time as an engineer, and I started driving almost 9 months ago. And shortly after, I was pretty curious about that. I mean, I loved it. I was pretty curious about the whole thing, and I wanted to learn more and basically learn from people who were experts. And started Googling, couldn't find anything, couldn't find any resources, and I said, man, there's this huge need for this, and so I decided to give it a shot and started writing and blogging and podcasting, and everything has kind of taken off from there. And now it seems like, it's something that I love to do. I mean, obviously I love driving, but I also love running the site too now because I get to help so many drivers, and that's kind of my goal with working with Brian with these courses and these videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Harry's website, for those of you who don't know, was a major factor and a player for why I got involved with the ride-sharing industry. His blog was an excellent, excellent resource of information for me to do my research to see if this was really an opportunity that I wanted to take on full-time. I also watched a couple other YouTube channels, which we'll get to in another video, but Harry was an excellent, excellent resource. And why don't you go ahead, Harry, and tell people which major media outlets you've been featured on recently, because you've had some pretty big mentions.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. I guess I kind of make the joke that since there aren't a whole bunch of rideshare blogs and podcasts out there, that when you're out there kind of providing some good content, it's easy for the media to find you. So it's not really that I've done anything special. It's just kind of out there, kind of developing these relationships with a few reporters, and that has really helped me big time. I mean, honestly, my best feature, I guess, a few weeks ago was in Wired magazine. And the reporter just sent me an email and said, hey, some of my Uber drivers have been telling me about your site. I'd love to hear more from you. And I talked to her over the phone, and she got some information. And the next thing I knew, I was featured in Wired. And for those of you who don't know, getting featured in Wired is very good for your business.
Yes. Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah, I know
a
you
lot
got
of
quite a bit of
opportunity.
traffic after that media mention, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We got about, I think, 5 or 6 times the normal traffic on the day the article came out, and it kind of tailed off from there. But I mean, I guess the coolest thing is because I like that story because the way that she found me was through drivers who said, hey, this guy is doing some really good things with his blog. You should talk to him. And obviously, kind of one of my goals with the site, especially now that it's gained some traction, is to really, I like kind of unifying all the drivers, figuring out, because there really isn't a community for drivers out there. I mean, we know Uber isn't about community, and Lyft kind of has a little bit of that aspect, which they've moved away from in the past few months. But one of the things that I love about my audience is that I try to really engage them. I mean, I always tell people, if you send me an email, I guarantee that I'll respond. It might not be within an hour or two, but within a day or two, I respond to every single email. And at least for now, I can still do that. And I guess my
Right.
goal is I want to, get out there and reach as many drivers as we can, so we can kind of all pool our resources and pool our talents and strengths.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And thank you for coming on my channel today. Obviously, anyone who's been paying any kind of attention to the ride-sharing industry, there has been some very major recent changes that have gone down, especially
Yeah.
with fare cuts and all kinds of new rules and regulations. But ride-sharing is still definitely a good opportunity to make some money in 2015. What are some tips and strategies, Harry, that you can give my audience for people to make the most out of doing Uber and Lyft today?
Well, I guess my biggest thing right now that I'm harping on a lot with articles that I'm writing on my site is just thinking about, right now Uber just released a statistic in December. They have 160,000 drivers, which sounds like a ton, right? And I think the even crazier statistic is that 40,000 of those 160,000 started in December. So there's 40,000 drivers right now. So I mean, that just tells
That's
you,
crazy.
all the reasons. Yeah, I mean, 25% of the workforce, and it's not a small number either. It's 40,000
Right.
drivers. So that tells you, that a small, there isn't, for all the reasons that we love being a driver, the flexibility, the pay, being able to work, 60 hours in a week or 0 hours in a week, right? There aren't nearly any jobs that give you that kind of flexibility where you really see the correlation between how hard you work and how much money you're making. So all those reasons that we love driving and that people who are 6, 7, 8 months into it love driving, those are the exact same reasons that people are joining every single day. And so you get a lot of drivers who see the fare cuts as kind of, man, I can't wait until they bring fares back up. But if you really look at it from an Uber or Lyft perspective, they have tons of drivers who want to do this. So they want to make the rides as cheap as possible. So from their business perspective, it makes sense. And so you as a driver, you really have to think about ways and strategies. I mean, it's not like the good old days 9 months ago when I started and I could flip the app on and make 30 bucks an hour on a Saturday night. No problem. And, I drive in LA, but then I also drive in Orange County where I live, which is, a mid-sized market. And it's not like that anymore. There's still a ton of opportunity, but you really just have to be willing to go out there and find it a little bit more than, well, let's be honest, a lot more than in the past. The opportunity isn't going to find you. You have to find the opportunity these
Yeah,
days.
exactly right. Oh, absolutely. Definitely the competition has drastically increased. I can
Yeah.
definitely say the same thing here in my market here in Cincinnati. What is also cool, I haven't told you, Harry, but last week I got my pay statements today for last week's results, and I did clear $1,000 this week, and I took 2 full days off, which is a
Nice. That's
lot more
awesome.
than I usually take off during the week. So I only worked 5 days, and I still cleared
Slapping,
a
man.
thousand dollars. Yeah, I know, right? Gotta get back with the program, but no, it really just goes to show you, there's still an opportunity to make money in ride sharing in 2015 still, and that was even in January. January I can understand it's been a rough month for drivers, but one thing I
Definitely.
keep telling people is that it will bounce back. It will. Especially, in different parts of the country, it's going to be different, but in most, including here, once the weather warms up, people are going to be so happy to go out and have fun, get drunk, get wasted, and that's your clientele. that's that is a big reason why you make a lot of money during those bar rushes. And speaking of stuff like that, what are some good times that you can share, Harry, that drivers can make the most amount of money in an hour?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, obviously the bar rush is going to be the first place to start. I mean, anyone who's just
Absolutely.
starting, if you want to make, I mean, kind of have the people, once you get started, you're kind of, I call it the honeymoon phase. You're happy to be out there. You're not really
Right.
focused on how much money am I making. You're just kind of getting the ropes of things. And I don't necessarily recommend you start with the bar phase or the bar hours right when you start. But, after a couple weeks and you get the hang of things, when you do want to make the most money, the most rides are given, on Friday, Saturday nights. And so that's obviously a great starting point, especially for drivers who are kind of, they have a little bit of experience and now they're trying to say, hey, all right, I want to really take advantage of my opportunity here. How can I maximize my earnings? And at the same time, kind of what we talked about with that added competition, there are a lot of drivers that are starting to say, hey, all right, I'm going to start at these bar hours, right? So you're kind of seeing maybe in certain areas that now these bar hours, they're still lucrative and there's still a ton of rides going on, but there's also a lot of drivers now. So what I like looking for and what I always recommend is really going outside of your comfort zone, trying new things, trying new cities, especially now when it's a slow time. I mean, January and February are winter months in a lot of places, so you're not going to get, the same amount of rides as in the summer,
Right.
right? Just like you said, people are going everywhere. So this is a great time to experiment. And, like I said, you really have to be willing to go outside your comfort zone and try a new area, try a new time, try a new city, whatever it is, to really think outside the box because there is
Yeah.
competition, right? And competition is only going to increase. It's not going to get easier as a driver. There's still, I mean, I think there's lots of resources that are popping up right now, as far as blogs and podcasts like mine, actual startups that have lots of investor money. And so, I mean,
Yep.
I think there's definitely been some, or I mean, let's be honest, there's been a lot of negativity in the beginning of the year because people are now making less than they were last year. And anytime you have to take a 30% pay cut and you're doing the exact same job, it's going to be tough. But still in such the beginning phase of rideshare. I mean, this puppy's only like a year or two old,
Yep.
and
Oh yeah.
obviously we've seen a ton of change, and it's kind of like a roller coaster at this point. And I do think eventually prices are going to become more head to more of a steady state, and ride requests and things like that, and driver retention and driver onboarding is going to, they're not going to onboard 40,000 drivers every single month. So that's
Right.
another thing to consider. And one of the things I love to talk about on my site is really diversifying your income, not just driving for Uber,
Yeah.
Lyft, Sidecar. I mean, I ordered Postmates the other night, and my driver came with my El Pollo Loco, dropped it off, got that free
Nice.
$10. My free first delivery was free, so I tried it out, $10 free. And I talked to him. He said, "Oh, I used to do Sidecar. I couldn't take it. Wasn't making enough money. He does Postmates now." And he says, "Yeah, I mean, he's not getting rich or anything, but he tried it and he loves it, and now he's making money off of Postmates, and he does that instead of rideshare, which obviously is still in the same sphere, in the same arena. Anytime you're
Yep.
using some type of app and sharing or delivering, I'm gonna, maybe it's not called rideshare, but some type of sharing economy gig or hailing. And I think those are the jobs that we all, kind of are enjoying right now because of the added flexibility and obviously the pay.
Absolutely. So we kind of established that ride sharing is definitely still an opportunity to make money in 2015. And as I've been introducing my following to that, we're creating a course together, the
Yeah.
Maximum Ride Sharing Profits. And why don't you give our audience here, Harry, a little sneak preview of what people can expect if they go through our course, which is coming out in a few weeks. We're very excited about
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm super happy that I found Brian, and it just so happened that he had a nice online marketing background to help with all the back end
that.
stuff. So instead
Yes.
of me struggling to figure out how to start a site and host that back end stuff, I
Yep.
can just Brian has been really good at taking care of all the back end stuff. I really appreciate it. I think we've done a really good
Yep.
job partnering up together. And to be honest, I'm really psyched for this course because all the reasons that I mentioned, I mean, it's getting more competitive. And one of the things, I give a lot of the stuff out for free on my blog, and Brian does all this stuff on his YouTube channel. But at this point, there's so much content out there right now. It's really hard, especially as a new driver, it's really hard to sift through. I mean, I have over 150 articles on my site. I mean, close to 30, 40 hours of podcasting, and now I have a few hours of YouTube. So by the time our course launches, there's going to be basically thousands of hours of information. Now, how do you
Yep.
package all that information into one place? And that's really what the point of this course is.
Yep.
We're basically going to kind of give you guys like a roadmap to being a successful driver and really using all the tactics that we find help us make the most money. And I
Yep.
think one of the unique things about Brian is he's a full-time driver, and I'm a part-time driver, and we're obviously in different markets. But the cool thing is we've kind of been able to use our talent and what we're good at as far as driving to really combine powers for this course. And we bring kind of unique perspective, and I think we really
Yep.
cover all the facets of making money and figuring out basically how to, my tagline, I like to say, work smarter, not harder. So that's
Yes.
what I'm all about. I mean, there's lots of
Absolutely.
things that there's lots of things I like driving, but there are a lot of things I would rather be doing. I'd rather be hanging out with my wife, my friends, my family, but at the same
Yep.
time, I like diversifying my income and having multiple streams of income, and so that's why I do it.
Absolutely.
And rideshare is the perfect job for it. So that's what I'm really psyched about right now.
Yes. And where can people go to find more information about our course?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sure we'll have a link in the YouTube video, and then
Down
the
here.
website. Yeah, right down
Description
there.
box.
It'll probably be easier to click it, but if you want to type it in, it's maximumridesharingprofits.com. I'll
Yep.
have links all over my site, the Rideshare Guy, and Brian has it all over his YouTube channel too. So definitely, we've got a couple, intros up there, and you can sign up for the email list to be notified. If you're viewing this in a few weeks, the course is probably already live, and you can
Yep.
check it out. And the cool thing is, especially with the course, we have it set up so that it's for a couple different levels. If you're just a beginner, we have the perfect kind of intro. I mean, it'll cover everything from like a beginner to an intermediate level driver, just getting started. So if you need help with just getting started, we'll really go over all those basics.
Yep.
Stuff as simple as what do you see, or what do you want your car to look like? I mean, obviously you want it to be clean, but when a passenger gets into the car, one of the things we talk about in the course that The ride doesn't start when the passenger gets into the car. The ride actually starts the second you accept the request. A lot of drivers don't
Oh
realize that
yeah.
the passengers can track you on the app. And I guarantee you, well, I don't guarantee, I know 100%, I'd say almost every single passenger is watching that car as it comes along. I mean, whenever I'm hanging out with my friends and they call an Uber or a Lyft, they're always saying, "Hey, where's this driver going? He's going the wrong way." So right there, those are those really small things
Yeah.
that you don't even think about that we're going to help you with this course because you might not even realize that, hey, this passenger is tracking me. And if you start off headed in the wrong direction, he's immediately going to say, "Where's this guy going?" Now he has this impression in his mind that you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going. Now you make one wrong turn when you're driving him, boom, that's a 3 star, 2 star, right? So those are the things we're going to help you avoid. And obviously, with the ratings come
Yep.
increased tips and just better overall driving experience.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, Harry, I really appreciate you coming on my channel and, introducing yourself to my audience and giving some tips, strategies, advice, and then introducing our course. Is there any final thoughts that you have about anything ride sharing before I end this interview?
I guess my one piece of advice for anyone that's out there that is kind of whether you're thinking about driving or whether you're already a driver, I guess right now I think is a lot of drive. The whole situation is so in flux. I'm obviously, if you could tell by this interview, I'm a super positive person, and I'm always looking for the bright side of things. And
Absolutely.
you see a lot of negativity and a lot of complaints with rideshare. And my approach, my attitude has always been, if I don't like it, I'm going to do something about it, right?
Exactly
I'm going to
right.
make it work for me, okay? And I'm going to do everything I can to make it work. And if you come in with that mindset and that attitude, I think, you're almost guaranteed success in a field like this where you are a business owner and you do have the ability to really go above and beyond. Because let's face it, I mean, people want to make, a lot of people want to make the best money, but they're not willing to go above and beyond to do what the best are doing. If you want to make in the top 10% of Uber drivers, you've got to be one of the top 10%. Can't just go and drive around. You've got to do your research. You've got to look at, read every article you can read. There's a ton of content going up right there from not only sites like mine and Brian's, but there's tons of content and, services popping up right now to help drivers. So I really think that it's a good time right now to get involved and, just immerse yourself. And I mean, because honestly, it's cool industry to be in too. So
Yep.
we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and in 2015, I think it's going to be a really fun, interesting year. There's going to be a lot more fluctuation. So that was a little bit more than one sentence, but hopefully you guys can,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, no problem. And Harry, finally, where can people find you if they want to follow you?
Definitely. So just type in the rideshare guy, anything like that into your good old Google. I'll pop right up. Or you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at the rideshare guy, and then we got a nice Facebook page, YouTube, and then obviously at my site, therideshareguy.com. And if anyone wants to shoot me an email, like I said, I respond to every single email. Harry at therideshareguy.com. So you don't even need to check out my site. Just shoot me an email if you have a question, and I'll definitely 100% answer it.
Awesome. Well, Harry, I really appreciate you coming on.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Anytime.
All right. Cheers.